Alice Sharp. I'm the Artistic Director of Invisible Dust. Welcome to this session, which is all about art and how it plays a role in the climate crisis. I just wanted to say a little bit about Invisible Dust. We work with artists and scientists looking at climate change, and we're a believer that art can make the invisible visible, in that we feel that scientists struggle to communicate in a lot of ways. It's all about facts and graphs, but actually artists can enable us to understand things through our heart, through our emotions, and that's where we feel that the invisible can be made visible. And we work, and we're based in the UK. We work internationally. We work on oceans. We work on climate change, biodiversity, and we also work on air pollution, which we're going to talk about quite a lot today. So I'm delighted to also hand over to say hello, Kasia, who's one of these amazing artists that I work with and does make the invisible visible.
Thank you so much, Alice, and thank you very much for inviting me. It's absolute pleasure to be part of this conversation. So my name is Kasia Molga, and I am a designer, artist, creative technologist with a passion towards environment, and my work can be described as spanning on the intersection of disciplines. I also am founder and director, a creative director of creative art studio, which is called, well, Studio Molga. We work across creative industries, academia, and naturally with cultural and art institutions. And our specialization, I think, can be described as communicating how we relate to natural environment and how can we collaborate with nature. And also, how can we use accelerating and present in all layers of our reality technologies for better understanding and then connection to subjects such as climate change, ethics extinction, environmental transition, or pollutions.
Thanks very much, Kasia. And what I wanted to do was to introduce a really extraordinary piece of work that Kasia has created as part of our work at Visible Dust. And Kasia created this piece, which is very interesting because it enables us walking on a city street to see these wonderful costumes which she has created, and they change colour with the air pollution. So these really harmful gases that we're all bringing in. A lot of people now are very understanding that air pollution is causing a huge amount of harm to our bodies. One of the problems, I think, for all of us in our cities is we can't actually see the air pollution coming out of our vehicles. We don't have big black clouds. Okay, you might have small black clouds, but not massive big clouds, which actually would tell us what the harm the air pollution is doing. And the other thing I think that's really important about this piece is that as humans, we like to pretend that we're very logical. You know, we see a graph that shows air pollution is bad, therefore we'll do something about it. Actually, I think we'll find that most of us are moved much more by our emotions. And the great thing about art is it enables us to connect to those emotions and to kind of understand why we might need to act and why that impetus to actually doing those things in the right way and becoming more sustainable. The other things that are really important with Human Sensor is it's something that resonates throughout the world. And what we found with this piece is once we had a video of an action, we were seeing it being shown in New York, Tokyo, Istanbul, all around the world. And everybody in their everyday streets could relate to what this the video shows. And it really shows Human Sensor as a universal language throughout the world. So I'll just show you the video for a few minutes now, and then we'll continue our conversation.
What would be the best way to convey the fact that our body is this sort of sensor, and how to connect the body to environment and how to convey the information. And since then I was looking at the wearable. Breathing is this kind of interface which connects our inner parts with the outer world. We depend on air, but we can't see it, and so we can't see the pollutions.
We've been working with the artist Kasia Molga. The amazing costumes that she's developed are responsive to the air that's outside them. So what she's done is making these invisible air pollution into something visible.
We decided that we are going to look at the black carbon because it is one of the most dangerous pollutants and very present on our streets because it comes from diesel cars.
Euston Road is the source of an incredible amount of air pollution, which we think is unacceptable for people who work and live in the area. So we're trying to create a green link between Euston Station and Regent's Park, and the human sensor is an amazing, creative way to raise the issue of air pollution in Euston.
Art and design is a perfect platform to kind of create new narrative or test ideas. And I hope that the human sensor can be one of those concepts. I really hope that what I do will have this kind of very important public function as well, to kind of make invisible visible, so that people are much more aware of the issue or the problem.
It just draws your attention to a different way to walk through Euston.
And it was fascinating to watch the procession. Kind of brings it home in a real life fashion about this is the air we live and breathe if you live in London.
So for me, that really hit me when I first saw Human Sensor as a mother of children, and their exposure to walking down streets in our busy streets in our cities, and how they are breathing in, you know, unwillingly, this air pollution that we're all creating. And I think it just conjured up me a very strong emotion about the effect that this is having on us all. And I just wondered for you, Kasia, just to tell us a little bit more about your inspiration for creating this work.
So I just wanted to add to that in general, climate change and science behind it, or in fact, science in general, you know, the knowledge of biological, physical, or chemical processes and technology which permeates all layers of our lives, and then to add to all of that, you know, the changes in environment, warming, global pollutions, extinctions, and their implications on political, economical, and social system. All of these are hyper objects, as philosopher Timothy Morton calls them. That is concepts so big that human brain cannot contain them at once. And on top of everything, all of them are entangled. And so no wonder that sometimes we feel really overwhelmed when we are surrounded by all those information, and it's very difficult to feel positive and, you know, and move towards change. And so I feel that art has always been excellent in navigating through these complexities and capturing their essence. And so all those intricate and abstract and often overwhelming concepts can be related to a more intimate and emotional manner. And in my practice in particular, I think I am really interested in finding connections between human body and bodily functions and environment, because we are part of it. And so the human sensor, you know, very naturally grow from that. Besides my own experience of suffering from asthma, I look at human breath as a connector between inner and outer environment. And I also feel that people with asthma are sort of superheroes, because we can detect changes in the chemical air composition much faster than anybody else. So we are natural detectors of health of the environment. And I think that was the key thing for me, that we all have a power to learn and to know how important is our surrounding and the connection between us and the environment.
And I think that the thing that was really amazing as well was the kind of your use of the dancers, so that there is this wonderful kind of dramatic feel to the actual human sensor, and it's kind of really given you an opportunity to kind of work with dancers, I think, for the first time.
That's true, and we have to obviously mention amazing choreographer Ruth Jones, who came aboard and help us, you know, to create this beautiful movement. But basically, you know, when we cannot breathe properly, it is reflected in our posture. You know, when I have asthma attack, I do something like that with my shoulders coming very close to to my ears, you know, and my back is very, very tense. When we have access to clean air, that also is reflected in how we carry our body. We are much more open.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really, really strong. And the thing that was really interesting for us is that when we were organising the performance of the actual work, we were very mindful of what time of the day it was. So when we were at certain times of the day, we had all the commuters coming past, and obviously at that point, not only do you have the commuters on foot, but you have more vehicles, and so people are exposed to much more higher levels of air pollution during that commute. And now, obviously with COVID, the mask that we have on the faces of that piece has a very different feel than it did when we first did it, which was pre-COVID. And so there's also this kind of resonance with breathing and the importance of having clean air, which I think is very, very strong now in the sort of pandemic environment that we've got. And I think for us, in terms of art, I think that art does make this bridge between climate change and action. It kind of forms this bridge between the two because of the connection that I was saying about the emotions that we all feel when we see something. If we see a human sensor going down the street and we start thinking, for example, I was thinking about my children, other people might think about elderly relatives who are breathing in that air pollution. And what better way to change because you care about something rather than hating something. And I would say that this is much more long-lasting and sustainable change that you get through arts and through being moved through care. I'm really, really hopeful for that we can have a much more hopeful message as well, because I think one of the difficult things is both climate crisis and COVID are things that people could be seen as having very sort of negative connotations, and actually what we can do is look at something really, really positive, which is living more sustainably, using technology much better. And I think that if art is able to be part of that picture, part of that shaping of the picture of businesses changing, governments changing, and also consumers changing, then that for me is a really important role for us. And I really hope Invisible Dust continues to be able to work with people like Kasia and other artists who are doing this such fantastic work for the future.